Most beginners overcomplicate investment, thinking they need a fortune or a financial degree to start. But here's the truth: you can begin with as little as $100 and a solid strategy. The key? Focus on consistency, not perfection. Imagine this. Instead of letting $5 coffee run add up, you redirect the money into an ETF tracking the Standard & Poor's 500. Over time, that small habit will turn into thousands, thanks to compound growth. The mistake most people make isn't starting small. It's not starting at all. I'll show you the exact steps to get started, even if you never invested a penny, and how to choose an amount that fits your budget and your goals. Let's get to it.
So, do you have $100 per month to invest? What do you do with your life? Well, I'm gonna show you how you can start because you should start to do it today. And the key is to understand the concept of compound interest. I think is the number one thing that you should think from an investment perspective. And I'm gonna prove you that. Okay? So this is the issue. And you can play with this. Go to investor.gov from the US government and find something called compound interest calculator. Okay? Here we will play around. This is an amazing calculator that will just allow you to understand how compound interest works. So the first thing is that you're going to research something called Standard and Poor's 500. I was talking to one of the editors and he told me, hey, Francisco, I thought that when you said Standard and Poor's, you said Standard and Dutch. No, it's a Standard and Poor's. But you just put it S&P 500. That's it. Go to Google, go to Perplexity, put everything like that. And here you will identify something very interesting. For example, in the year today, this is how much it has increased, 27%. But normally, this is not a normal year. This is one of the great years. But the most important thing, when you check the last 5 years, what do you see here? Look, it's 6,055 and it started with 3,221. That means that it has growth. And if you check the max, it has growth consistently. So, because of compound interest. And how does it work? Well, let me show you. So, you said, okay, I just have $100. That's it. That's all you have. And let's say you're not going to do anything. So, zero monthly contributions. But this is the important thing. Think about that investment is long term. So, if you're 20-year-old and you're going to keep investing for the next, let's say, 5 years. So, we're going to estimate. And this is the interest rate. So this is how much your money will get it for investing. If you put your money in a Standard & Poor's, which Standard & Poor's, it's an index, okay? An index is like you, instead of buying one stock of one company, like for example, buying the stock of Apple or Google or Netflix, you buy in one index that the index on itself buys small stocks or fractions of stock from many companies. In this case, it's 500 companies. And you can buy an ETF, which is a financial instrument that you can use. So you just buy the ETF. And if you want to know more about ETFs and stocks and which ones do I recommend, just check this video about ETFs. So now that you're just buying, so the Standard & Poor's has given 10% on average because some years it goes up, some years goes down, it just changes. And the interest rate variance, we're gonna put zero. So let's see, only if you put $100, what will happen in the next 5 years, just putting the money in the Standard & Poor's? Well, in 5 years, you will have $161. That's the power of compound interest. What will happen to you if you didn't put the money elsewhere? Check this. This is the beauty. Okay? So the total contributions in this case are just the $100. Just keep it. Okay? But look, the beauty of compound interest, year 1, 110, year 2, 121, year 3, 133, year 4, 146, and year 5, 161. Because what it's doing is like it takes the 100, it generates the interest, but then it generates the interest from the interest. So it keeps going up. That's the beauty. Imagine if you just put $100. But let's say you're learning and watching all the videos, and you put the money for the next 10 years, only the $100. Let's see what happens. Oh, your $100 in 10 years will be $259. Okay? So check the red bar. Now, let's be serious. And you said, okay, now I started to understand. Let's go for 30 years. You know? Let's see. Now, in 30 years, only that putting their money in one ETF called Standard & Poor's 500, the index, this is what will happen to your money. So now the key question is, do you want just to keep your money under the mattress, or you want the money to do this? This is the power of investment. Okay? So only if you just put the $100 in an ETF that is an index and recommended starting one with the Standard & Poor's 500, that's it. You will have this amount. Wow, what about inflation? Correct. That's the key thing about investment. If you don't put your money, if you just put it in a savings account, what happens? It devaluates. When you're investing, you add money, you minus the inflation, and then you get some money. That's the beauty about investment. But now let's see that you are a serious person, and now you're going to invest in the next 30, 40 years. Okay? So it's $4,500 just with $100. But now imagine that you're serious and you're gonna contribute on a monthly basis $25. Let's start with that, something simple. Let's see what happens in 40 years with those. Wow, look, only by contributing $25, this is what is gonna happen to you. Just check it out. Not complicating life, okay? Next 40 years, the $100 plus the $25 each month will become $137,000. But this doesn't end here, because you really want to grow your money. So instead of doing a $25, can you do a $100 contribution? Yes or no? Tell me in the comments. How much do you plan to contribute? Check how much. Before it was 137,000. Let's see what happens with your money. $535,000. So $500,000 if you start today with $100, just buying one ETF that follows the most important companies in the US, the 500, called the Standard & Poor's 500. That's it. Okay? Now, if you start to explore a little bit more and you say, wow, now I understand the power of compounding, let's go to something called the NASDAQ 100, which is another index. But the difference is that it tracks the 100 largest non-financial companies. And the NASDAQ has, if you check, for example, the year to date, is larger than the Standard & Poor's, but check the max, from 448 points to 21,000 points. And the good thing about this index is that each year they take away companies and they put new companies. So you don't have to do the process by yourself. And there are ETFs that I recommend again in this video. So now let's go. The good thing about the NASDAQ, let's keep the same things, but the NASDAQ is gonna give you 12%. Okay? Previous results doesn't make future results are the same, but if you think that the companies in the US will still be major elements of the global economy, that's the point. So I just click calculate. Let's see what happens with our $500,000. Wow, almost doubles with just a change in 2%. Look how crazy is this. This is the power of compounding, and this is with how much? With $100. So, do you want to wait or not? That's the key question. Or do you want to money to do like this? That's the power of compounding. That's the power of investing. Now I'm going to show you more elements. Now, are you happy? Yes, and this is the simple one. So my recommendation, if you're starting, start to buy ETFs. And if you're smart, then you can combine elements, okay? Because then you can say, okay, $50 will be for Standard & Poor's 500, and $50 will be for NASDAQ. And as I explained in the ETF video, I tell you a third one, okay? So you can also invest in stocks around the world. So in that sense, if everything changes in the next years, you are very smart because you have put your money to work, okay? Now, as part of this, you should diversify and invest in other companies. So let's check Tesla. Tesla in the past 5 years, it has given more than 1,000%. That's crazy. 16 times your money in 5 years. That's how crazy it has been, Tesla. But Tesla has what is called a market cap. Like the size of the company is $1.4 trillion. Now, if you believe that Tesla in the next 10, 20 years could 10x this, that's a good company to invest. That's the key thing, okay? Because that means that if you put $100 on Tesla, okay, in the next 20 years, and it's gonna keep growing as it has growth, only the $100 will become 16,000. But if it accelerates, I'm just changing the interest rates, 3,800. That's the key thing. That's the element, and that's what you should learn to do. Okay? Also, Bitcoin. Bitcoin said, well, it has reached more than 100,000. Check in the past 5 years, almost 1,400%. The max, 25,000%. Now, do you believe that people are gonna keep talking about Bitcoin in the next 10 to 20 years? Okay. So can you believe that this 100,000, 101,000 could be $1 million? I was talking to someone and he said, hey, Francisco, some people believe that in the next 20 years, okay, so let's put 20 years here, Bitcoin could reach this amount of money. I'm gonna show you, because it will be like if it was growing 16% per year. That will be the calculation, okay? So your $100 in the next 20 years at a 16% per year will be almost $2,000. Crazy. Okay? So that's it. And if you want to explore another stock, I like Nubank, new stock. Also make another video about Nubank specifically, because I strongly believe this is not financial advice. This is what I'm doing. This is a company with $56 billion. This is easily a $250 billion company in the next 10 years. So it's like 5x, like 500% in 10 years. Okay? So that means that if I put $100 today, 10, okay, is almost like if this company will give me 17%, almost a little bit more, 18%, let's see. Yeah, almost. So that's what I believe. Imagine. So when you're buying individual stocks that have high potential to grow like crazy, like 4 times, 5 times, 10 times, that means that their interest rate is pretty high. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what do you think, and start investing your first $100. And yes, just leave in the comments, guys. That's it.